Welcome to another episode of the CattleUSA Daily Podcast. Today, we're just keeping up with the trend of mixing things up a little bit around here. And instead of Dan coming on today and talking livestock reports, market reports, and all the things like that, we have Adam from Logic Ag Marketing coming on and talking grain reports. So we're going to be talking all things currently what we're seeing. We just got that USDA report released and all the things like that. This was recorded yesterday, so we haven't yet. This is recorded on the 1st of April as we're waiting to see the tariff talks and everything that get released on the 2nd to see if that can get kicked down the road, if things actually come to fruition. So take that into consideration. We do have some tariff talks on here today and discussing that a little bit and the impacts that we could potentially see in the grain market. But we are talking about it the day before any of the news actually gets dropped on what's happening there precisely. So, but yeah, let's go ahead and get into this conversation with Adam and check out the current grain reports. Well, Adam, welcome to the podcast. What are we seeing in the markets this week? We're specifically going to be talking a little bit more about the grain markets this week, I think, than maybe the cattle markets. But what are we seeing? What are your thoughts, opinions, all the things?
All right. Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate being on here and looking forward to it. So, pretty interesting week in the grain markets this week. We got after a kind of a quiet last couple of weeks where we trended down. We had a big week this week with U.S. quarterly stocks and acre intention report yesterday, which is generally a huge market mover. Along with that, we have tariff talks, coming up tomorrow. So I'll hit on the report first. This report, it was kind of interesting leading up to it. A lot of times people talk about buy the rumor, sell the fact. When it comes to markets, this appeared to be the opposite for this report: sell the rumor, buy the fact. We had seen a good run up here in January, February, and then dropped off significantly in the grain markets. A couple reasons for the drop off here lately, especially in the corn side, is that a lot of rumors of huge acre numbers for the 2025 crop year on corn. USDA ended up having their estimates was about 94.3 million acres, which was well above last year and historically very high. And a lot of private forecasters were coming in the last week with even higher numbers than that, 95 to 96 million acres. And so we saw that decline in the markets leading up to the report. Coupled with that, the tariff talks and whether or not they're going to get pushed back or enforced, and so it was just easier for the traders and everyone else to hit the sell button the last couple of weeks. So we saw the report published yesterday, and a lot of the private forecasters were right. We came out with 95.3 million acres. So it should have been a pretty bearish surprise, actually. Initially, we did see a sell-off right on the open of the report. But by the end of the day, old crop was higher, new crop pretty steady. So pretty interesting reaction to definitely a bearish report. That tells me that traders were preparing themselves for that kind of number and not shocked by it. What's helping corn too, though, is that ending stocks are considerably less than they were last summer when funds were record short. We went to a huge long position in between, and then actually sold off to around a neutral position here the last couple of weeks. So we've seen some extremes, some highs, some lows in that type of deal. But at the end of the day, ending stocks are still fairly tight. The estimates were in line with, or the report was in line with estimates, but if we start to see any sort of crop issue or anything else, we could see a rally in this market. I am a little bit bullish, especially old crop corn. New crop might struggle a little bit, but nice thing is we're seeing another green day today. We're off the highs a couple cents, but we're up 3-4 cents here today, so we're putting a little bit back into this market, which is nice to see. On the bean side, they got a little bit less of a story to tell. I think, traders were a little bit disappointed that the acre number did come in below estimates, but not by much. And I thought, I think a lot of people were thinking that with a high corn number, we could see a lower bean number, but that really wasn't the case. So beans initially sold off yesterday, closing down around 10, so not a huge drop. ending stocks were fairly in line with estimates there as well. They got a little bit more cushion than the corn does from a stock standpoint. But again, if we see any sort of weather issues or anything like that, we could see a rally. And then beans today are up 16, so not a ton of news. So nice to see a rebound there. The real winner of the report yesterday was probably wheat. Wheat acres came in a fair amount below expectations, which was bullish. We saw a good pop in the wheat market, a little follow through buying today. I think wheat had been pretty oversold in my opinion, and was due for a bounce. So I guess as it stands right now, I lean toward the bull side of both corn and wheat. In beans, I'm just pretty neutral, unless we have some sort of planning issue or global issue. I think that $10 to $11 range is going to hold pretty tight for us on the bean side. Turning forward to the tariff talks, there's been rumblings, every day of what's going to happen. Are they going to be pushed back? I don't think anyone knows. That's brings volatility to the market, and we'll find out tomorrow. But probably why corn's off its highs a little bit here today is just given that it could be an interesting day tomorrow. See what happens. My guess is they'll probably get pushed back again. And if they do, I would look for the corn market to kind of continue the recent uptrend that we've seen. We put on 20 cents since last week's lows, and hopefully that continues.
As far as tariff talks and all of that stuff goes, any other thoughts on them pushing it off another month? You kind of shared that you think that they're probably just going to push it off another month. Is that going to be something that is going to continue to affect these markets? What are your thoughts there? Because I know a lot of producers right now are having some difficult discussions, especially in the grain markets, of we're trying to plan for the best possible year and in ways that we can just lose the least amount of money. So just kind of your thoughts on that, how our outlook is kind of looking for the rest of spring and into summer as well.
Yep, for sure. Great questions. Obviously on the corn side, I'll start with that. Mexico is the big player there, a huge importer of U.S. corn. And so, that's a big one. Mexico to this point has kind of been willing to play ball. It seems like, they've made some concessions. I would guess Trump is a lot happier with them right now than Canada. Canada doesn't really do much on the corn side of things. From the soy outlook, they get a little bit of oil and some of those things there. But, the big deal in the grain market is Mexico and corn, and then China on beans. And really the Canadian and Mexican tariffs have kind of took a little bit more front and center stage than China, which is a lot different than the last go around we had when we were dealing with these 4 years ago. So definitely gonna play a big part in how the market trades. My guess is that the U.S. and Mexico will come to a concession probably sooner than later, and then maybe keep kicking that can down the road a little bit. I could see the tariffs being slapped on Canada, so have a little bit different effect there. But as we turn the calendar to April here today, we're going to start focusing the market a lot on just U.S. weather. It seems like once we get to April 1st, we'll hopefully get some sort of weather premium built in. Right now, sitting out here in Iowa, it's snowing out. And so, the past couple of years, we've seen some planters roll in the first few days of April. And it's a lot different this year. We got a little water standing. We still got snow in the ditches and fence lines. So in the short-term forecast is pretty cool. I see the longer-term forecast has turned a little bit warmer, upper 60s, low 70s, but it's going to take a little while to dry out. Certainly doesn't look to be an early planting time for this year. So, as that kind of continues on and the days pass by, maybe we get some weather premium built back into this market. I'm hopeful that we can put another 25-30 cents on new crop corn, and maybe look to get a little protection on, or be talking to your risk manager about how to handle that. So it should be interesting, as it is every year.
Well, Adam, thank you. Is there anything else before we kind of close out for the day? Anything else you're seeing? Any other lookouts, or did we kind of cover all of it?
I think we kind of covered it for now. It's I guess one thing I will say is usually, as I mentioned, that March report's historically a big market mover, and yesterday was a pretty narrow range, compared to what we normally see. So I guess it's better than completely falling out of bed and seeing a big red day in the markets. But that was a little bit of a surprise to me, I guess. And it'll be important here next couple of days just to kind of give us a new direction and kind of confirm that, maybe we've turned the corner here and we're going to trend back higher. So outside of that, good luck planting to everyone as planters start rolling across the Midwest and Southern Plains, and stay safe out there.
Perfect. Well, Adam, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And to all of you listeners out there, make sure that you like, subscribe, rate, review. Let us know if you enjoyed today's little switch up from kicking Dan out of the driver's seat and bringing Adam in to talk about grain markets. We'll have to give him a hard time next time we talk to him about
Absolutely.
it. But if you liked this, let us know if this was something that is relatable to your guys' operations, things like that. We can maybe drag Adam in a little bit more often and stuff like that too. But make sure you like, subscribe, rate, review, do all the things. And we'll see you all tomorrow on another episode of the Cattle USA Daily Podcast. We'll see y'all.